Winter's coming. That's groovy. Hi, I'm Nicole Justine Reed. There's something really important about the seasons. I'll go through them, and depending on where we live, we might experience the seasons in a more extreme way or in a more subtle way. So each season has its own energy, its own purpose, its own rhythm. And it's really important to honor and respect these cycles, because I think sometimes we get a little disconnected from them, especially if we're in areas such as California that has a more temperate weather, which is where I grew up. And so we didn't really have like huge seasons per se. And so I started getting used to this idea of like, oh, it gets a little cold or like a little rainy, right? Just like a little bit, but it wasn't enough of a climate change around me to really signal, hey, something's a little bit different. But then I started becoming aware of the differences energetically that would happen in my body or kind of in my system or like throughout the year, and tuning into those and really being able to encourage those a bit more. So here we have this tree to symbolize this. This is my little winter tree on my desk here. And we're approaching season of winter now. And winter is really a time to go inward. It's a time to reassess and reevaluate, to really become introspective and kind of really see what you've been doing this past year. What have you learned? What have you kind of gathered within, and what do you want to create going forward? This is a great time for journaling, a great time for inner processing, a great time for having a sounding board to clarify what's going on for you. It's maybe not a time for like huge amounts of action though. It doesn't mean you can't take it, right? But if we're talking about like supports from the seasons, usually a time for spring is a time for action. So it's kind of like you're kind of germinating, you're hibernating, you're trying to figure out like, what is it that I want in winter? And so you might be a little bit more sluggish or kind of like slower or, just like, whatever. That's okay. Just allow that, right? It's going to change. And we have this typical spring cleaning, right? And what's that all about? Hey, sweep out the old, bring in the new, time for action, spring into right? And you're going to have that new sense of vitality. There's the flowers are blossoming, the bees are humming, like all this, nature supporting new growth, right? Then we get into summer, which is the height of things, right? So this is a time maybe for the maintenance, or maybe for just really that sort of explosion of joy, kind of getting to the apex of all of the actions that you started in the spring, right? So it kind of starts and it just really blooms, and then we get to fall, or the harvest time, and the time of autumn, and this is the time where you get to gather everything that you have harvested, or that you've grown. You get to harvest it now, right? So that's a time for you to then gather your wisdom, gather your learnings, gather. It's like a gathering time. We think about gathering for Thanksgiving, right? Hunters and gatherers, and, just kind of think about, okay, what knowledge have I accumulated? What friends have I accumulated? What am I grateful for? Like, what's going well, right? And then you get back into winter, where you get to assess it all and be like, okay, so what's the deal here? What happened this year? What do I want next year? What do I want for this next cycle and season for myself? This next up-leveling of growth, this next rhythm of my life. And so as we approach this time of winter, really take stock of what you've learned this year. Where are you at, and what are you creating next year? What are these seeds that want to sprout? What's going on inside the hibernation underneath the snow? It's like in the cozy cave. Like what ideas are wanting to emerge to be planted for the spring? I wish you all the best in your discovery. If you want to share anything, please post in the comments below. And if you do need help kind of figuring out what has been going on for you and what you're really wanting to create next, what's next for you this year, I'd love to support you in that. We can explore working together, and you can go to my website, NicoleJustineReed.com, and you can apply for a heart-to-heart chat where we can get to know each other and discover what is in fact next for you for this next season of your life. Until next time, enjoy.